gonna check whether it is 8 p.m. and we're live. I'm just gonna check whether everything's working here all right, because Twitch doesn't actually let you trim the video afterwards, which is a bit annoying. I've recently I used to broadcast these things live on YouTube until, you know, I was part of that weird, whatever it was, algorithm that deleted a lot of accounts citing copyright, not copyright, violating the community guidelines. And then I read up on it and it was like, I clearly didn't violate any community guidelines. A lot of, like dozens, if not hundreds and thousands of people have encountered exactly the same problem. All their stuff's been deleted, which is why I'm now on Twitch. Yay me, yay you, otherwise you probably wouldn't be watching this. Just so you know, today the topic is this one, Oceans 8. I went to see it yesterday. Oh, and here we are. Just so you know. Okay, so it looks like this is all good. All right. Feel free to pop anything, well, don't pop anything you want in the chat, but feel free to chat with me. I'm going to be talking about Oceans 8 later on. But first and foremost, I'm going to be talking about news and trailers. Maybe I should put graphics up for that as well. I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about that. But anyways, episode 13. A lot of people go like, oh my god, 13. Like in hotels, there's never like a level 13 because people are paranoid. Not paranoid. What's that? Superstitious is the word. I love the number 13. And I have a great film to talk about in episode 13. So there you go. And if there's time, which I doubt there is, I might actually share some tiny bit of a preview of my thoughts on Incredibles 2, which is what I managed to watch yesterday because Cineworld had that as their secret unlimited screening. And everyone went like, woo, when the title came up. So maybe I will share that with you. The official release for that, I think, is the 13th of July. So I still have like about 3 weeks to tell you all about that. So bear with. So for now, I just want to get into the news and trailer section. You might have heard there's a new John Travolta film out. Well, out in the US. It's not out in the UK yet, called Gotti or Gotti, or I'm not entirely sure. It's about an Italian mobster. Was he Italian? I think he was Italian. Italian mobster on the US East Coast. He's quite infamous and how he basically was toppled. And Travolta plays Gotti, and I don't really know too much about it. The trailer looks kind of like a wannabe Goodfellas, but judging by the reviews that have come in by critics, the film is why it's kind of like famous right now. It's not because it's necessarily a good movie, which I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, but apparently it's anything but a good movie. It is actually that abysmal that it is one of the few films that has a zero, absolute zero rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and that is for the film critics section, because Rotten Tomatoes has the film critics section and then the audience score. And that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you about that, because there's something shady going on with the Gotti Rotten Tomatoes user preview. So you have the film critics, which gave Gotti a 0. I can't remember how many film critics were saying that, but basically everyone's saying this is a rubbish film. And then all of a sudden you see the user reviews of the film on Rotten Tomatoes, and they're quite good. So no one would have potentially even picked up on this, but it was such a historically bad review with 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. Like, it's not easy to get seriously. But the Gotti Twitter account was actually running a little ad campaign where it was saying, like, the critics didn't like our movie, but the audience sure does. And then people went on Rotten Tomatoes. Actually, when I say people, there's one particular user on Reddit who Sherlocked that a bit. And he found out what's up with that weird rating on there. So at the moment, I think it was like a 74% user rating. Then it dropped to 70. I think now it's at 64, something like that. It's really bizarre. But what he found out is, so he went to take a look at the written reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. And of the first 58 reviewers, and this is users, not critics, right? With an available profile, 45 had created their account in June 2018, which is now. Out of these 45, 32 have only reviewed Gotti. Like, that's the only film that they bothered to write a review for, even though they just created an account. 10 reviewed Gotti and another movie. 7 times that was American Animals, for some reason. and had 3 more, and 3 had more than 3 reviews. So it looks like that the majority of reviews that reviewed Goaty and gave it a good user score were people that have just recently created an account. Looks a bit shady, right? And then since he was saying that like 7 times it was American Animals that they also reviewed, American Animals and Goaty have one thing in common. In the US, they are films by MoviePass. And MoviePass is currently a bit in the entertainment headlines because they potentially are doing something really shady with like their MoviePass. Certain films are like you have to pay a surplus for and stuff like that. So it turns out, it looks like they are potentially inflating the box office for their films by buying their own tickets and potentially also creating fake review scores on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's a bit funny considering Goaty is about a mobster, and this kind of sounds like a mobster scheme as well by MoviePass. So it's like just a little tidbit, not really news, but I thought it was a kind of hilarious thing to read up on. Now to actual news, actual good news. Do you remember that last December, we didn't just get The Last Jedi, of which I am not a fan. Seriously, Rian Johnson, we need to talk. But we had another great film, and that was Jumanji 2. I can't remember the subtitle of that. But it's The Rock. The Rock remade, kind of modernized Jumanji. And I thought it was fantastic. I was so surprised by how much fun this film was. And I didn't really remember the original Jumanji starring the late Robin Williams, obviously. It's been like, what, 20 years since that came out? Something like that. So when the Rock one came out, I couldn't really remember much from the original. And the new sequel, Jumanji 2, was so well done. It was proper modernized. It wasn't just a board game now, it's a video game. You know, it was really, really well done. It was a lot of fun, great action. It was hilarious. Jack Black stole the show. Absolutely fantastic. So now Dwayne Johnson has officially announced a Jumanji sequel, because the sequel was already a sequel. So it's like a sequel squared, on his Instagram account. Apparently it's going to hit our theaters December 2019. So I am very, very excited for next winter. Should be really good. The original cast is returning. The same writers, the same director. Everybody is returning. And I'm not surprised that they've greenlit that, because the sequel has almost earned $1 billion worldwide. $1 billion. That's how much people liked it. And I'm not surprised. I'm a huge fan of it. I thought it was so much fun. When Ready Player One came out earlier this year, it kind of reminded me of Jumanji, which also felt like you're part of a video game. I love video games. I am a video gamer. So I was having a lot of fun with that. So I really, really am excited to get a sequel to the sequel. Sequel squared, whatever they're going to call it. But the sequel is getting a sequel, and I'm excited for it. So there you go. Next one is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Is about to come out. In case you didn't know, it comes out, I think, first week of July in the US. We here in the UK, and I think the rest of Europe, we have to wait another month, which is really fucking annoying, because I am a huge fan of the original Ant-Man. I remember when we went to go and see this, I think 2 years ago or something, was an August release. And I was like, yeah, I might as well watch this. There's nothing else on in the cinema. Let's just check it out. And it turned out to be one of my favorite films of that year, because it was just so well written. The script was tight. The action was great. The entire film from start to finish was entertaining. It was funny. It was dramatic. And even the side characters were well characterized and had great actors, and they all had their moments. And it was just such a fun ride. I was so surprised when I watched that, how much I enjoyed that. I remember that once the credit rolled, me and my mate, we were looking at each other going like, so what did you think? It's like, this was really good. It's like, yeah, this was great. We were so surprised by it. So I'm obviously really excited for the sequel, not just because finally Evangeline Lilly gets a bit of a bigger role. Why she wasn't turned into Ant-Man in the first place, I mean, that's probably from the comic books, because all the fucking heroes are men, right? That's what it is in the bloody comic books. Well, most of them, right? There are exceptions. I know, like Captain Marvel and like all that stuff, right? But she gets more to do. in the sequel. So I'm very, very excited for that. And now I've just read that I have something in common with Evangeline Lilly. And that is that we are fucking pissed off that the UK and the rest of Europe have to wait an extra month to see the sequel. You know, everyone in the States gets it in the first week of July. Everyone in Europe, well, most people in Europe, like the UK and certain territories, maybe Eastern Europe's a bit different, but most of Europe are going to see it in the first week of August. For the UK, I think it's the 3rd of August, which is pretty much an entire month later. And the matter is that apparently Marvel Studios were thinking, like, it's a summer release, we're bringing it out like on Independence Bank Holiday weekend thingy-majig, for a good box office, which is obviously a really good idea. However, there's an event currently happening in Europe which they thought might detract people from going to the cinema, and that is the bloody World Cup. And if you don't know what a World Cup is because you're in the States, and you're like, World Cup for what type of game? Soccer, football, whatever you call it, right? So the soccer World Cup is currently going on in Mother Russia. Why they got that in the first place, I don't know. I'm obviously not a fan of Russia because I'm gay and they're not really friends of the gay people, so... But hi to all the gay Russians. Like, seriously. Either move out of there or stick it out, and hopefully you're going to be, better times are going to happen for you. What's happening in your country is just atrocious. There's a lot of atrocities happening all over the globe, but let's just currently focus on that one. They got the fucking World Cup. The World Cup's currently going on. I think it started last week. It started like a week ago. And obviously soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. Don't call it soccer here in England because everyone will go crazy. It's like, it's football. You're not calling football soccer. But yeah, everyone's kind of crazy about football here in Europe, which is why Marvel thought it might be a good idea not to have that kind of coinciding with the release of Ant-Man. Because for whatever reason, they think that people that go to the stadium to watch people kick about a ball are the same people that go into a cinema to watch superheroes save the world. Because those are the same things. Apparently. Not to me. I live in a cinema. I go to the cinema once a week. I've never set foot in a football stadium. I think those are totally separate groups and not necessarily totally exclusive, but people that are going to go and watch soccer, they're not necessarily going to be bums in seats in the cinema, all right? But that was apparently the idea behind this postponement of an entire month. And I have that in common with Evangeline Lilly, that she's pissed about it. She is fucking pissed about it. So she had an interview with Empire Magazine, which is a publication here in the UK. Lily slams the move, saying fans will be more apt now to see the film illegally, saying what happens is people just pirate the movie and they see it in the worst way possible, like some shitty version online. She actually said shitty, I love you. Mwah. She swore. I love it when people swear. She actually said shitty version online instead of going to a theater. They go in the end, but I don't like that staggering. I'm really going to get to the bottom of this for you. I'm as pissed off about it as you are. Now, Rudd, who was also being interviewed at the same time, he was trying to put a lighter spin on the problem by saying, I don't understand, let me see if we can just maybe get the World Cup moved. So he was just trying to go like, let's not piss off the people that give us our paychecks. But I love Evangeline Lilly for speaking out on this because it is shit. It is shit. It is absolute fucking shitty, just like she says. Because this is how you get people to pirate, just like she says. I'm not going to pirate it because I want to see it properly. Because, like, even if I had, I don't know, if I knew someone in a cinema who could get me a really great, pristine, Blu-ray quality copy of the film, and I could watch it on here, do you really think this is the first time I want to see this? On this tiny little thing? Instead of in the cinema on the big screen with great sound, with other people enjoying it? No. This is not how I want to see it. I'm going to the cinema for a reason. I want to see it on the big screen. I want to sit in the weird seats. I want to have people munching popcorn around me and people coming in late so I can go like, why the fuck are you late? Get your ass out of the way. All these things are part of the cinema going experience for me, right? Annoying fuckers included. But yeah, I want to see it on the big screen. I want to see it with great sound. I want to see it the way it was intended to be seen. It's never intended to be seen on your stupid TV. I was listening to the Mark Kermode podcast recently, and someone had written in that most of the times he or she, can't remember, was watching films was on a plane. And I was like, oh my God, like seriously, like blood curdling, blood coming out of my ears, my eyes, my nose, my everything. I was like, I'm having a brain aneurysm. You are watching movies on an airplane. You need to be slapped. This is not how you watch movies, let alone that the screen is tiny. The screen is like as tiny as my fucking phone. But it's also square, and the sound is horrible. You have people pausing it. It's like, I'm sorry, but there's a service announcement. I'm sorry, please, this is the seatbelt sign. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, what? When I heard that, I really just like, I need to talk to this person. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But anyway, Evangeline Lilly, I love it that you're being pissy about this, that you think it's shitty, because I think it's shitty. Because I was really, really excited to watch Ant-Man. I was so amped up for it. I'm trying not to watch too much of the trailers because, again, you know, if you've seen the show before, you know that I have a love-hate relationship with trailers. If there is a film that I know for sure I'm going to go watch in the cinema, I don't want to see a trailer because trailers spoil a lot of stuff. So I'm not interested. So I'm always watching it like this. Now I have to wait an extra month where people on the internet in the US are going to fucking spoil the shit out of Ant-Man. See, I'm not necessarily as concerned about the piracy thing because obviously I don't have stakes in the film. I don't give a shit whether people pirate it and watch it in a crappy resolution and on a tiny screen. That's their thing. But I have to deal with an extra month where the general population of the entire United States of fucking America has been able to watch this film and will be tweeting the shit out of any spoilers because people are assholes. Awesome. Thanks, Marvel. Thank you so much for making it pretty much impossible to stay spoiler-free of one of your most highly anticipated films. Not cool? We need to talk, man. Onto happier news, still blockbuster related. In case you've not been on the internet yesterday or today, you might have missed it, but we have an exclusive first look at Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor in the new Terminator film. Now I know a few weeks ago I mentioned that there was a fan who took like a little selfie with Linda Hamilton and she looked a bit rough and a bit weird. Not weird, but as like I wasn't sure whether she was wearing a costume or whatever that was. She didn't look very impressive or very Sarah Connor-y, right? Now we actually have proper photos from the set. I was so excited. I tweeted about this earlier today as well, so go check out my account. Or in case you can't find it, go to theterminatorfans, all one word, .com. They have the photos up there. There's not that many really, but they look awesome. She looks great. She's wearing combat gear. She has short hair, and she looks like she's in really good shape. She just looks like an older Sarah Connor. She looks great, all right? So I'm really excited about that. Now, given that Genesis, which was the previous one, didn't do very well at the box office, it tanked. Let's just be frank. It tanked. Which is funny because I kind of liked it. I thought it was hilarious. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger was like, he was like cheeky and he was taking the piss out of it. He was having fun with it. So I enjoyed it in that regard, but it wasn't really a proper Terminator film the way that Terminator 1 and 2 go, right? Ever since Terminator 2, everything's just been deteriorating, unfortunately. So we all thought that potentially the Terminator franchise was supposedly dead, terminated. But there's one thing that you can inject the Terminator franchise with to bring it back to life immediately. And that is 2 words. And those words can be shortened to JC. And I'm not talking about Jesus Christ. I'm talking about James Cameron. So you attach the original creator of Terminator, James fucking Cameron, my personal JC, and you can get a new Terminator film made. This is now Terminator 6, but it's just called The Terminator. And apparently it's being helmed by, what's his name? Tim Miller. He's the director who also directed the first Deadpool. Now, if you've ever watched the show, you know that I wasn't a huge fan of the first Deadpool, but I'm a huge fan of the second one. So I'm not sure if I'm not a fan of the first Deadpool because of the director, but I'm not holding out much hope in regards to that director. Not that I'm saying he's going to do a shitty job. He could do a really good job, a really bad job. Doesn't really matter. I'm quite Swiss about the director, Tim Miller. What I am a huge fan of, and what has me getting my hopes up for the new Terminator, is that it is produced by James Cameron. And as we all know, James Cameron is a hands-on guy, and I'm pretty sure that he wouldn't let Tim Miller direct from a shitty script. So I think there's not a lot of options really for Miller to potentially fuck this up. I don't think so. I think it's probably going to be really good, because I believe in James Cameron and his vision, and I'm pretty sure he had his fingers in the script as well. So this is probably going to be a really, really good Terminator movie, alright? So, and apparently it is set to hit theaters November next year. Now, it used to be rumored that it's going to be a summer release in July, but now the latest news that I've seen seems to say November 22nd, so I'm not entirely sure. They might turn it back into summer. We'll have to, keep our ears to the ground and see what happens. But it comes out next year, so they're currently shooting in Spain. That obviously, even if they finish shooting in like 2-3 months, they've literally just started. That gives them roughly a year for post-production, and I hope that that's enough, because obviously I want my Terminator films to be full of special effects and CGI, because that's just how it rocks. In regards to the actual plot, it's supposed to be a direct sequel to Terminator 2, which is one of my all-time favorite films ever. Like, seriously, James Cameron, he's amazing, right? I love T2, so they're basically negating the other 3 films that have been created ever since. Thank you very much. They are just like, do not exist. And last year, apparently, James Cameron spoke with The Hollywood Reporter about bringing Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor, and about female representation, which he's obviously quite known for. He said, as meaningful as she was to gender and action stars everywhere back then, it's going to make a huge statement to have that seasoned warrior that she's become return. There are 50-year-old and 60-year-old guys out there killing bad guys, but there isn't an example of that for women. Amen, brother. You're making it happen. You're making it happen again. James Cameron gave us a kick-ass Sarah Connor. I remember the transformation, the first time I saw her from Terminator 1 to Terminator 2, just like, it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, like, those guns, seriously. I was like, that was fantastic. And not just that, it's like the whole attitude and just everything, like all the physical training she had, the weapons training, like even Schwarzenegger went like, that's insane. And he obviously has been training all his life. And James Cameron also gave us a more, how should I say, not necessarily gung-ho, but a more warriorized Ellen Ripley in Aliens as opposed to Alien. I mean, she was already cool and kick-ass in the first Alien, but she fully came into her own. She had like the Sarah Connor refurbishment in Aliens, and that is also thanks to James Cameron. So for me, James Cameron has always given us like really great, fully fledged, transformative female characters. Like, I remember that, like, for me, up until this day, it's like, if someone ever goes, it's like, who do you want to play in movies? What made you fall in love with movies? What's your role model like? And I'm like, Sarah Connor, Ellen Ripley, boom. And they're both made by James Cameron. So I just love what James Cameron does. And speaking about female representation, and representation in general, obviously, I am female and I'm part of a minority because I'm gay. So representation in the media is really important to me, and I'm quite outspoken about that as well. I mean, I'm an actor, and pretty much every second or third casting that I see, I have to contact the people and go like, what the fuck's up with this? What the fuck's up with that? Obviously, I don't say what the fuck. I'm trying to be nice, but there's always something. It's just such a fucked up industry when it comes to representation. And another thing that's been happening as long as I can remember is that Hollywood shies away from showing you gay people in a movie. TV is a lot more progressive in that regard, which is interesting. But especially, I mean, of course, there are little indie flicks here and there that have gay people in it, or maybe even have gay people in the lead, which is fantastic. But Hollywood is still shying away from showing us, from representing us, representing someone like me in a blockbuster. All right. And the latest thing that is kind of causing a bit of controversy, well, not really controversy, no one but gay people probably gives a shit, but there were a few films lately that cut out gay material from their blockbuster film due to time constraints. Is usually the reason given, because that's the easiest one that they can get away with. So the latest culprit of this is actually the latest Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. If you want to know what I thought of that, go back, what is it, 2 weeks, I think? I think it was 2 weeks. I had my mate Jessen on as a guest. So that's the first ILoveCinema that actually has two people talking to you, which was a lot of fun. I'm going to try and get more guests in. But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is the latest Hollywood movie to scrap plans for a gay character. Now, bear with me on this one. So we have another blockbuster that's cut reference to a gay character's sexuality. We're not saying that the character ended up not being gay. The character is still fucking gay, but no one talks about it. It's not mentioned. And judging by recent events yesterday, if it's not mentioned, a straight person will not pick up on it. Now, this time, like I said, it's Jurassic World. And throughout watching the film, like within the first few minutes, I was like, I'm pretty sure she's gay. Quite obvious to me as a gay woman that Daniela Pineda's character, Dr. Zia Rodriguez, was a gay lady. All right. She's the dino doctor who works with Claire, and who goes to the island and who kind of saves Blue, that one. But most people wouldn't have picked up on that because it's never really mentioned. Just like in Oceans 8, which I will talk about later, or in Thor Ragnarok, where that was cut out, or Black Panther, where that was changed. The gay representation is just not there, and they usually come up with some stupid-ass reason why. Not like we were trying not to do it. It's just like, that scene unfortunately had to hit the cutting room floor. It's like the film was too long, blah, blah, blah. That's always the best excuse they have, because obviously running time is very, very important. And we wouldn't even have known if Yahoo Movies hadn't interviewed Pineda, the actress, and she was saying, in the scene that I look at Chris Pratt, and I'm like, yeah, square jaw, good bone structure, tall, muscles. I don't date men, but if I did, it would be you. It would gross me out, but I'd do it. It was also cool because it was a little insight into my character, but they cut it. She was supposed to say that she was gay, that she doesn't date men, but all of that was cut. Now, it doesn't make a big difference to the film. It has absolutely no impact to the storyline, just like a lot of characterizations usually do not impact the storyline, but it impacts how we see a character and whether we feel for them or not. So, considering how short this little insert would have been, it was like, what the heck is going on? I mean, she's saying like it's not big, like it's not a big deal for the plot or something. The sexuality doesn't really drive anything forward, which is fine, but it's kind of like gay people would pick up on that, and for gay people it would be a huge thing if this tiny little 5-second thing was mentioned, because like heteronormative people are not gonna care. They're like, oh, this person's gay, okay, cool. It's a supporting character, so no one would give a shit. For the gay community, it would mean everything, right? So it just feels like the good intentions of the filmmakers were thwarted at the last second due to logistics. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, but we shot it, but we had to cut it because, yeah, it's like you shoot a lot of shit and that a lot of that stuff will have to be cut because you try to get a 2-hour film together, but you probably have footage for at least 4 hours. Then you trim it to your director's cut, which is probably like 3 hours. And then you're like, shit, now I gotta cut out at least 50 minutes out of this. The gay stuff goes first, because it always does, because it's not important. And I just call bullshit on that. It's just like, yeah, we shot it. It's like checklist. We included it, but we had to cut it out. Because it would have been 10 seconds for her to have that sentence in there. It's not important to the overall film, majorly important for the community and for representation. Those 10 seconds could have been vital, right? I don't understand what people are afraid of. You know, it's not going to matter, like I said, to heteronormative audiences, which is the majority of the audience. They're not going to give a shit whether the person is gay or not. Because there's nothing there. It's like you don't see the person kissing anyone. You don't see them having a sex scene. You don't see them doing anything gay. But the gay community would see, I'm represented. Now, while I, as a gay woman, kind of thought that she might be gay, there were like, I don't know, it's like certain vibes about the character that you're like, oh, I think she might be gay. Fine. But it's a difference whether you just think you pick up on subtleties or undertones or whatever you want to call it, or whether it's canon and it's actually in the script. It makes a huge difference, and representation matters, and you need to learn that it matters. And you need to learn that you can't fucking cut it out all the fucking time. Just like in Black Panther, I think they didn't even shoot that one. Just like the stuff in Thor Ragnarok and like all this other stuff. You know, it's just not okay. You know, it's just as important as if someone's left-handed. Even more important. Representation matters, and we will get ours. All right? And speaking of representation and women in films and gay women in films, perfect segue to Oceans 8. Now, I've been really excited for Oceans 8. Obviously, I mean, just look at it. There's like 8 women, and you can't say that they all have the lead, but this film stars 8 women. And there's like no male lead. There's a male supporting person, but that's it. And it was just looking at the poster. When was the last time I've seen a poster for a movie that only showed me women? Unless it's a porn movie, I don't really care. But I can't remember that. And I look at this and I'm like, wow, that is just awesome. So in case you didn't know what Ocean's 8 is about, obviously this is like a sequel or like a, what do you say? Like not a layoff. What's the word I'm looking for? Like a spin-off from George Clooney's Oceans 11 and 12 and 13. I'm going to say right from the get-go, I've never seen any of the male versions. I've never seen any of Clooney's Oceans whatsoever. I'm not entirely sure why. I think they just didn't really appeal to me. And to be quite honest, this film, the story doesn't necessarily appeal to me either. It's about a heist. It's like, don't really care. But it's about 8 women trying to make this heist happen. I'm intrigued. And then you tell me who's acting in it? We have Sandra Bullock, Cate Blanchett, Anne Hathaway, Helena Bonham Carter, Rihanna, Awkwafina, and Mindy Kaling. Alright? That is like Sandra Bullock, enough for me to watch it. Cate Blanchett, enough for me to watch. Oh, I forgot Sarah Paulson. I'm so sorry, Sarah Paulson. I love you, Sarah Paulson. I actually do. I forgot about Sarah Paulson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, fine. I forgot about Sarah Paulson. She's awesome. Anyway, so this is kind of connected to the Clooney Oceans, right? Because Sandra Bullock plays Debbie Ocean, who is Danny Ocean's sister. That's how it's kind of connected, all right? And the synopsis for this one reads, 5 years, 8 months, 12 days, and counting. That's how long Debbie Ocean has been devising the biggest heist of her life. She knows what it's going to take. A team of the best people in the field, starting with her partner in crime, Lou Miller, played by Cate Blanchett. Together they recruit a crew of specialists, including jeweler Amita, who is played by Mindy Kaling, street con Constance, who's played by Awkwafina, suburban mom Tammy, played by Sarah Paulson, hacker Nineball, played by Rihanna, and fashion designer Rose, played by Helena Bonham Carter. Their target, a necklace that's worth more than $150 million. That's the plot. Now, that's not really much of a plot, is it? They're gonna steal a necklace. That's the plot. 8 women are coming together to steal a necklace. That's the plot. And I think, like I said, I've not seen any of the other Oceans, but talking to my friends who I saw Ocean's 8 with yesterday, they are also quite flat when it comes to plot. There's not much happening. It's all about the heist and the logistics of a heist, and then some shenanigans happen, and then you basically do the heist and you hope that it all goes well. That's kind of what it is. And yeah, I already said who's starring in it. So what did I actually think of Ocean's 8? Now, as a movie, I think it's a good movie. It's not great, but it's good. The plot, like I said, is very thin. It definitely lives off its performances, off its star power. But the overall plot is quite predictable, is quite boring actually. And what really irked me about the film was that the plot has a lot of holes. There's like a lot of stuff here that unfortunately within the film makes absolutely no sense. And I'll get into that a bit later. But what the biggest problem for me was, and that is very unfortunate considering how much I love the idea that there's going to be 8 female leads in there, but there were too many characters. Just too many characters. There's not enough characterization for every single one for me to actually care about them. A lot of the time, especially some of the smaller characters, they were just there literally like a checklist. Well, I need a jeweler. You come in. I need someone who's good with their hands. You come in. You thief, come in. I need someone with a 3D printer. You come in. And I need a hacker. You come in. That's kind of what it is. And that is as much characterization almost as they get, which I thought was a bit disappointing because they are all really interesting in their own right. But the film never even... It feels like it doesn't really delve below the surface, which is really, really unfortunate. Because it could have been really interesting, those interpersonal relationships. They could have really made the film shine. There is quite a bit of that between... obviously, Sandra Bullock's and Cate Blanchett's characters are the ones that get the most characterization. They're quite... Even they are not fully fleshed out, but there's a lot there that keeps you going, and they are my favorites. And obviously, I mean, Cate Blanchett is my absolute favorite in this film. Like, I have the hugest crush on Cate Blanchett on every single day of the year. But when I was watching Ocean's 8, that just went through the roof. It was just insane. Like, that, she is just fantastic. I mean, she's mesmerizing no matter what she does, no matter what she plays. But in this film, she's clearly playing a lesbian. And I was like, she is just so cool and fantastic and hot and sexy and awesome and wicked and funny and just so good. And her screen chemistry with Sandra Bullock is fantastic. There's like a lot of stuff that is being said in this film with just looks and a little ambiguous line here and there. And just the physicality and body language between certain members of the cast that tells you so much. And I was really surprised by that, because I think I need to go and watch it again, because there's so much detail in this film, which is why it's really funny that the overall structure, the overall plot of the film is kind of, you know, it's like routine. You've seen it 50 million times before. There's nothing new. There's nothing special about it. It just go from A to B to C to D to E. You know, that's all it does. Not interesting at all. What makes the film entertaining, what makes the film interesting are also not the characters. It is the actors. This film totally lives off its performances. And I think if you didn't have someone as strong as Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett and Helena Bonham Carter and Sarah Paulson, this film would be fucked, if you ask me. There's too many characters. They needed to give a lot more screen time to the individual characters to flesh them out a bit more, to make me care about them more. Because to be quite honest, the 4 that I just mentioned, I mean, Anne Hathaway also does a really good job, but that's a bit separate. I'll get into that later. But basically, Aquafina, Mindy Kaling, and Rihanna, they didn't get much to do. It was like they're day players. They're just there for exposition, just to move the plot along. But they didn't really have much of a personality going, which was a bit unfortunate. But I love Sandra Bullock in this. I love Cate Blanchett in it. Helena Bonham Carter. I mean, this woman is just terrific no matter what she does. And the role she has in this it's a very subdued Helena Bonham Carter. She's not outlandishly crazy as you usually have her. But she's always outlandishly crazy, even if she keeps it down a bit. And it's just so much fun just to see her do her thing. But one of the things that I was really disappointed in was I'm a huge fan also of Sarah Paulson. If you don't know who that is, if you've ever watched American Horror Story, which is on Netflix, or you've watched the O.J. Simpson trial, whatever that was called, she's a really, really fantastic actress. She's mostly doing TV stuff. But she was quite famously, obviously, if you're a gay person, if you're a gay lady, you know Sarah Paulson, you know Cate Blanchett, starred together in Carol, for which Cate Blanchett was also nominated for an Oscar. And those two women seem to be getting along really, really well. I do suggest after you've watched, or even before, it doesn't really matter, they're not spoiling anything. Watch any of the press stuff that these women have done for Ocean's 8. It is absolutely hilarious. Some of the stuff, I'm just like, are they all drunk? Are they all high on something? It's just crazy. They must have had so much fun making this film. Because, I mean, I'm not surprised. It's still absolutely unheard of to be on a film set where you have no male lead. They're only women. Usually, if you're a woman on a film set, you're the only woman. Or there might be one other woman and everyone else, crew, cast, everyone else will be male. It is such a weird environment to work in. It is absolutely ridiculous. So working on something like this must have been absolutely exhilarating. So I can understand that they're like all giddy and having fun on the press tour. And yeah, it's a feel-good film, but just don't expect too much from the plot because it's very routine. It's very checklisty. There's nothing new here. It is so fucking predictable. It's crazy. And one of the things that really irked me were ginormous plot holes. There's something, obviously, like I said in the synopsis, they're trying to get Anne Hathaway is playing some kind of a diva, and the entire plot revolves around them trying to get her to say yes to Helena Bonham Carter character Rose, who is a fashion designer, to have her design a dress for Anne Hathaway's diva to take to the Met Gala. And the only thing that would fit with the dress is this necklace that they're trying to steal. That's the whole plot, right? So of course they're going to try and steal the necklace. And everything goes really well. And one of the things, it's not really a spoiler because it is so predictable. There's got to be a spanner in the works. And the entire time there's no spanner anywhere to be seen. And then it was like, oh my God, in order to take the necklace off, you need to have like a little magnetic key that only the security people have. And that obviously throws a spanner in the works because like, well, we don't have the magnetic key. Then they try to make that happen, whatever. I'm not going to spoil that for you. But one of the things is that obviously they have a duplicate of the necklace to put it around her neck once they get the real one out. I'm not going to tell you how that all goes. It's kind of funny. But one of the biggest things that really irked me about the film is that obviously the fake doesn't have the same closing mechanism as the real one does, because they weren't aware of it when they faked it, when they made the fake, right? So the fake is just your normal necklace that looks like the other one. So they take the real one, and then it was like, how are we going to put the other one on her with it? And yeah, it's just weird. That is where the plot really falls down. Because they find the necklace, basically they're finding the fake because they've taken a real one. And then all of a sudden, in the next scene, Anne Hathaway has it around her neck again. And it's like, how did they manage to do that? Like, if the security clearly had to do that, because only the security can open and close the necklace with the magnetic thing, right? So they found the necklace, which was closed when it was found. So when they put it around, like, they have to open it in order to put it around her because it's too tight to just pull it over her head. They didn't decapitate Anne Hathaway either. So wouldn't the security have figured out that it is a fake the moment they were trying to open it with the magnet in order to put it around her neck again? This is something the film doesn't talk about. All of a sudden she's wearing the fake. And I was in the cinema going like, how is she wearing that? Wouldn't they have figured out that you don't need the magnetic thing to open it in order to close it around her neck? This is such a major plot hole that it's still like it's 24 hours later and it still fucking bothers me. It is such a plot hole, such a logical plot hole. I'm like, if you didn't know how to fix this, you should have rewritten the script because it is a ginormously important part of the film and how the story progresses. It makes no fucking sense. If it makes sense to someone, if you figured out what it is, let me know. I went with my two mates, who are both straight men, by the way. So they didn't pick up on a lot of stuff that I will be talking about later, because I segued into this, like with gay representation and stuff, right? But we were talking about this afterwards, and we're like, yeah, that made no sense, because how would they have opened it? It's like, I have no idea how they opened it, how they wouldn't have figured out it's a fake instantly after they found it and wanted to put it back on her neck. It makes absolutely no sense. Now, there are other little bits and bobs in the film that don't make a lot of sense, but they didn't bother me. I was like, you know, it's so minor, it doesn't really matter. But when that happened, I was like, this is just fucking bullshit, because this is all that the film centers around, and it makes no fucking sense. And that really, really irked me, and that destroyed my entertainment of the film, which is very, very unfortunate. And I don't consider it a spoiler because obviously, of course they're gonna fucking steal the necklace. This is Oceans. Of course they're gonna succeed in stealing what it is. Whether they get to keep it or not, that's a whole nother story. So yeah, like I said, too many characters, not enough characterization. Because there are too many characters in there, unfortunately. I loved the introduction of Sandra Bullock's character, which the film is starting with. There's like really nice scene where she's in prison and she has her parole hearing and she gets out of prison with $45. And then she ends up shopping in a luxury boutique and ends up living in or sleeping in a luxury hotel room, all for $45 or actually less than. And the way that that is done, it just tells you so much about her as the character. It's a great introduction to her character. I absolutely loved it. I immediately fell in love with this character because of this introduction. Then we get to see Cate Blanchett, who gets a smaller introduction, kind of more like peripheral, which is a bit annoying. But there's a lot of stuff happening between Cate Blanchett and Sandra Bullock. They are clearly the big leads, which is kind of nice. Everyone else is kind of like on the wayside. Like clearly the two leads are those two ladies. And funny enough, the scene stealer in the entire film is Anne Hathaway. Now, I'm not a big Anne Hathaway fan, to be quite honest. And when I was watching the film and I saw that she was not part of the Oceans team, she was just basically almost not the victim, but she was like a means to an end. They needed her to get the necklace. And she's playing this very stereotypical actress or celebrity who is like, oh, my features are too big and my neck and my eyeliner and my everything. And she's just like so high maintenance and so stereotypical. But Anne Hathaway takes that and she makes it so much fun. Like you can tell that she has so much fun playing this role, and that just shows, and that just makes it so much fun to see her do her thing. And she does this. It's almost like she's kind of like giving the fingers to people that say that she is like that, which kind of gives it a bit of a meta layer to the entire film. But she is definitely reveling in playing this character. She has so much fun with it, and I think a lot of the actresses actually have a lot of fun with their characters and really embody the characters that they're playing. Unfortunately, we don't get to find out a lot about them, which is quite annoying. I want to get a lot more backstory for Debbie Ocean and Lou and even Rose, and Tammy as well. So it would have been cool if there was more in there, but then obviously you only have like 2 hour film and you need to get to the logistics of the heist, then to actually the heist, and then the aftermath, which is also what you need to deal with, obviously. So given how little there is in regards to the script, like the script's not very tight, the script's not very well thought of, but you can thank all the gods you pray to that all the actors, well, most of the actors are really, really solid in this film. Like you have an Oscar winner in there. Hello. So Sandra Bullock and Cate Blanchett are clearly driving this vehicle, and it works. I wouldn't say as a film, like I really loved it, but as a film, it doesn't necessarily work very well. It's still a good film, but there's a lot of stuff that you could, like, there's a lot of room for improvement when it comes to the plot, the script, the film itself. The actors and the performances are great, and they are what make this film a lot of fun. Especially the first half hour, I thought was absolutely fantastic. But then afterwards, it was kind of like going like, oh, we have to go through the motions to get through all the technicality of the logistics and everything, and then it just dips and it loses its charm. Every now and then, there's like a great one-liner here and a great one-liner there. More on that in a second. But overall, it just totally lives off the performances. Now, if you don't like any of the actresses, I don't think the film is going to work for you. If you like any of the actresses, I think you'll like the film. And now I want to talk about, if you are a gay lady, you're going to like this film. Trust me. There's not so subtle gayness in the film. And it was really funny that I was watching this film with two of my... I usually go to the cinema with my male straight friends. And then when you watch something that is so overtly gay, it is hilarious when you talk to them about it afterwards and they go, huh? They didn't pick up on any of this. Because throughout the entire film, I was gushing like crazy over Cate Blanchett. Because she's just so fucking cool and fucking awesome and just so obviously gay in this film that I basically needed a drool bucket. That's how fantastic it was. Afterwards, my friends were like, well, if you want to see it like that. It's like, what do you mean if you want to see it like that? It's so fucking obvious. So Cate Blanchett plays Lou. She drives a motorcycle. She wears a vest with no undershirt. And she and Debbie, who's played by Sandra Bullock, they definitely had something going on before Debbie went to prison. Like they had a relationship or they used to be fuck buddies, whatever it is, but there was something going on. There are several ambiguous lines that hint at this, alright? So Debbie explains to Tammy, who's played by Sarah Paulson, she says something along the lines of, Lou and I were going through a rough patch, when she's trying to explain how she ended up in prison, or she ended up dating the ex-boyfriend who made her go to prison, basically. And Lou also says something to Debbie along the lines of like, this is exactly like last time. It's almost like, she's kind of like an ex-girlfriend who's been hurt a tiny bit or something. And when they first meet, Lou and Debbie, Debbie calls Lou her partner. Obviously, that could be without anything. But it's also, they call each other honey and baby. They have a scene at the diner together where Debbie feeds Lou some food, and there's like a lot of lingering looks, and there's like so much fucking subtext. And I think as a heteronormative audience, you're not gonna pick up on any of this. But as a lesbian, we're so used to reading subtext, because that used to be all we got, because it was forbidden to show homosexual love interests. I remember shows in the 90s, like on TV and stuff, like even Buffy, they didn't get away with certain things in earlier seasons. I know other shows, my all-time favorite TV show, Babylon 5, they didn't get away with actually naming one of the leads as a lesbian. She was clearly having feelings for someone. There was clearly something going on between her and another woman. They could only insinuate on that. And I remember when I was watching that, I was like, is there something going on between these two women? It was subtext, but it was kind of obvious, but also kind of not. You couldn't. That's how they used to get away with gayness on film and gayness on TV, that it was insinuated but never confirmed. So it's like, dude, you're just reading stuff into that. This is not gay. But to a gay person going like, yeah, this is totally gay. This is for you. High five. That's why we're so used to reading up, like reading subtext really, really well. And there's so much subtext in Ocean's 8, which is why it's so much fun to watch. So you really need to go and see this with like your gay female friends, of which I don't have enough, and none of the ones I have actually go to the cinema. So it's like, hello, if you are a gay lady in London and you like to go to the cinema, call me, get in contact. We should go to the cinema together. We should start with Ocean's 8 because it's awesome. Another thing is we also have Lou and Nineball. Nineball is the character that Rihanna plays. It looks like in the film, like they meet in the film, right? Rihanna is the hacker. I don't know whether I was just insinuating too much, but it looks like they had a fling. You don't see anything. There's no kissing. There's no sex scenes. I mean, there's a sex scene with a woman and a man. Not that you see anything, but it's more than insinuated. That is Anne Hathaway's character. But Lou and Nine seem to be having something going on, because there's a scene later on while they're kind of like trying to do the heist, and Lou is a cook. I don't know why Cate Blanchett's Lou is a cook. She seems to be running a bar before Debbie comes back into her life, but she cooks a meal topped with hot sauce for Rihanna, who's in the same band as her. So she cooked her a meal. She doesn't cook anyone else a meal. She just cooks Rihanna a meal. And I'm like, why is that? What's going on with these two? But you never linger. You never find out. So it's like, is it in your head or is it not? Okay, we have 4 minutes. I'm just going to end with all this awesome stuff. This is not really a spoiler. It's just like small little tidbits in the film that I picked up on. And then I came home late last night. And I was like, did I just make this up? So I went to Audio Straddle. Is it Auto or Audio Straddle? If you're a gay lady, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? And they, of course, had a review of Ocean's 8. And they pretty much summarized all the stuff that I was like, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen it. I picked up on it, right? I'm not the only one who was reading that into the film. And it's so on there. You need to check it out. I think it's Audio Straddle. Audio Straddle. I'm gonna have to Google this now. Auto Straddle. It is Auto Straddle, right? Tell me I'm right. Oh, good Lord. Whatever it is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we have Debbie and Lou and Rihanna, and there's also Debbie and Tammy. Now, obviously, Tammy is played by Sarah Paulson, who is actually a gay lady in real life. High five. I love her and Holland Taylor are such a cute couple. That's me gushing over other couples. It's a different gushing than gushing over Cate Blanchett riding a motorcycle looking mega hot in Ocean's 8. But it looks like Debbie and Tammy also had a thing in the past. Sandra Bullock's character got around a bit. Debbie goes to meet Tammy, who's like a suburban housewife. And so she is potentially bi. She's married to a husband. She has kids. Crazy little fuckers of kids, apparently. And it's just the look on Tammy's face when Debbie calls her on, like, she sees the caller ID on her phone and she's like, I'm with my family. It's like as if there's something forbidden going on. So obviously that could be the job, but it also could be that they had an affair. And this potential, we used to kind of sleep with each other vibe, continued in the closet. And by closet, I mean her garage, in which she has like all kinds of items that she uses for her scam, right? So the chemistry between them, the body language between them, the looks exchanged between them, some of the dialogue there, it is just so fucking clear that there was something happening between Debbie and Tammy in the past. Just like between Debbie and Lou in the past. It is so obvious. If you're a lesbian and you've seen Ocean's 8, do let me know. I really need to talk to someone, because none of my mates yesterday, they were picking up on any of this. They're like, you're just insinuating all kinds of things. I was like, no, I wasn't. Didn't you see the look that they gave each other? Didn't you see how Sandra Bullock fed Cate Blanchett that whatever was on her plate? And didn't you see how Kate Blanchett was eating it while staring into Sandra Bullock's eyes? And I was like, oh my God, there's just so much subtext there. It is so fucking fantastic. And yeah, just gushing over Kate Blanchett, looking fucking hot. She's just like, I don't know. She's like a gay icon. It's like, it's crazy. Kate Blanchett can play anything. Seriously, she like I haven't seen Manifesto yet. Oh, and it's 9. I have to wrap it up. What better way to wrap this up than gushing over Kate Blanchett? I haven't seen Manifesto yet, in which she plays like 14, 25 or something, different personalities, different characters, all of them convincingly. She plays men, she plays women. It doesn't matter. She played Bowie, didn't she, in a film? Or am I mixing this up with Tilda Swinton? I can't remember. Her and Tilda Swinton, absolute chameleons. I love these two women. And Kate Blanchett is just something like, seriously, I walked out of there and I was like, I need a cold shower. I gotta see this movie again. It's a lot of fun. The story is really flat and routine. There's nothing new there. But it is the actors and their performances that make this film worthwhile, that make this film a lot of fun to watch. It gets a bit lengthy because once they start everything, because it's like, you can just pick up the pacing. We need more quips and more banter between them. But you can definitely tell that they all had a lot of fun shooting this. I do hope there's going to be a sequel. Now, obviously, there was Oceans... Was it Oceans 10, 11? Was it Oceans 11? So they only have 9 and 10. But I think maybe they should go backwards, you know? Because one of the things I think is the problem with Oceans 8 is that there are too many characters there and there was not enough time to actually give them proper characterization, which I thought was a bit annoying and a bit of a shame. I want to know more about Debbie Ocean. I want to know more about Lou and Tammy and just everybody. So maybe we need to get rid of some characters because they can't be asked to come back because they're like off vacationing somewhere, you know? Make it an Ocean 7. Or I don't know. Or forget about the fucking numbers. Just call it something entirely different. Anyway, these characters, bring them back. Bring back Debbie. Bring back Lou. Bring back Tammy. And I'm so, like, even bring back Nine Ball. I'm so game to see them again. Because they're so much fun. That they are so interesting. All the actresses had, like, really imbued their characters really well. Embodied their characters really well. Great performances is what makes this film fun. The music's really fun. Also the way it looks, it's almost like a glossy fashion mag. Everything is just a lot of fun in this film. It is a bit over the top, but I think that's probably what the other Oceans were as well. Like I said, I've never seen any of them, so this is my first one. I've never been interested in seeing any of the Oceans film. I watched this one. Guess why? Because there's 8 female leads in this. Well, they're not all leads. Okay, let's say 8 females are in this film. There's only basically one supporting male character who's played by Richard Armitage, who's doing a really, really good job. Anne Hathaway totally steals the show. Kate Blanchett stole my heart. And this is just so awesome that I want to see it again. But I think you need to keep your expectations low because the plot of the film itself is just okay. It's just good. But it's the actors and their performances and all the subtext that for me as a gay woman really made this film work on an entirely different level that obviously none of my 2 male straight friends could appreciate because it's just not geared towards them. So I really loved it for that. I'm gonna go and see it again because I want to see like all these little details and the little tidbits. Also always fun to see Sandra Bullock. Oh, Sandra Bullock speaks German in this film, by the way. I totally forgot to mention that. It was so awesome. And I was like, her German's really good because I'm German in case you can't tell. I was like, her German's really good. And I forgot only by the end of the film. I was like, oh yeah, right. I think Sandra Bullock's mum is German. Sandra Bullock actually speaks fluent German. Her German in this film is great. Even like some of the slang that she uses in there, it's absolutely hilarious. So I want to see more of these characters. I want to see a sequel. I also want to see a prequel. Show me what Debbie and Lou got up to previously, before Debbie went to prison. Show that to me. I'd be so interested to see that. I love the character. She is so quick and witty and just so awesome, as is Lou. And yeah, just show us more of that. This is exactly what I want to see. All women. It was like it was like a fantasy world that I'd walked into. It was absolutely fantastic. They all owned their shit and they all got up to stuff, and it was a lot of fun, and how everything came together. It was wicked. Absolutely loved it. Not because it's a great film, but because of the actors and their performances and all the fucking gay subtext. Next time, don't make it subtext. Come on, Hollywood. Grow a pair, alright? Just show us the real deal. Don't make it subtext. It's not necessary anymore. It's 2018. Have the balls to actually go, yeah, this woman is gay and they used to have a relationship. Or there's something going on here, there's something going on there. No need to shy away from this shit. We're here, we're queer, we want to be represented, okay? We do exist. So don't forget about us, alright? Awesome film. I think more so for gay women than or bisexual women than for anyone else. Everyone else will probably just see a mediocre to good movie. I really enjoyed it because of all the subtext, all the different layers that are going on there. And yeah, with that, let me just quickly go. What is on next week? Actually, next week doesn't seem to be much on. So it looks like I might go back and see Oceans 8 again. There is a limited screening of the new Sicario film on Wednesday. Soldado or something. I love the first Sicario. Well, I didn't love the first Sicario because I thought it would be Emily Blunt vehicle, but she was supposed to be the lead, but she turned out to be a side character, and I was like, what the fuck's up with that? So I don't know. It's Josh Brolin and Benicio del Toro. It's about the cartels and stuff again. So I'll go watch it. And I will probably tell you about it next Thursday. If there's anything else coming in, I watched The Incredibles 2 yesterday, which I thoroughly enjoyed. I will potentially talk about this next week. Oceans 8 is now in cinemas. Go and watch it. You won't regret it. Thanks so much for watching I Love Cinema. I'm Mel. You can find me on Twitter at Melanie Radloff or at I Love Cinema Vlog. See you next Thursday.